The SHTRIGA. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Welcome to the New Cosmic Knowledge channel, where we push the boundaries, push the envelope, and bring you information that you're not going to hear anywhere else, helping you ask questions, question answers, and become divine, sovereign, and free. And yes, we are divine, sovereign, and free. Thank the gods. Good God's Almighty, free at last, free at last. There's an old legend started in old Europe, and it is a legend about a being known as a SHTRIGA. And I'm sure I'm butchering the pronunciation, but it's a SHTRIGA, or a SHTRIGA. It's a vampire witch in traditional Albanian folklore that sucks the blood of infants at night while they sleep and then turns into a flying insect, moth, fly, bee. Only the SHTRIGA, him or herself, could cure those that had been drained. The SHTRIGA is often pictured as a woman with a hateful stare, sometimes wearing a cape and a horribly disfigured face. The male noun for SHTRIGA is SHTRIGU or SHTRIGAN. And according to legend, only the SHTRIGA could free a child that had been afflicted by a SHTRIGA. It's also a term that's been used to express that a person is evil. It's also a umbrella term for horror and abuse and all type of horrific issues visited upon children. So when I read this, what immediately popped into my mind was the fact that, as Daniel Harry Lekumi says, it's a vampire legend, or is it? What are we talking about, Hillary? Mr. Garland is picking up what I'm putting down. We're on the same wavelength. What I wonder is, put yourself in medieval Europe. Put yourself in old London, old Brussels, old Barcelona. Put yourself back in old Europe. Put yourself back even beyond that to the dawn of the industrialized revolution, to the dawn of Western society. And you've got children that are wasting away. You've got children that are becoming lethargic. You've got children that are becoming despondent. You've got children that are becoming depressed. You've got children that are showing signs of abuse and neglect. And you've got children that are showing signs of torture. You've got children that are withdrawing. You've got children that aren't speaking. You've got children that are just almost as if they would rather die than to live through another day. If you know anything about, and I spent 20 years counseling people as a Pentecostal minister, and I'm very heavily, again, into the counseling business, and cousin business is a booming. And by the way, let me just show you something along those lines. Very, very quickly. Talking about counseling, talking about work. What do you think about that? serpentanddove.org. Sandra and Jeffrey Daugherty, visit our YouTube channels. We work with you on twin flames and relationships. You can discover how to manifest and move into your twin flame spirituality. Learn how to maximize any relationship you choose. We work with you about spiritual wills. You wouldn't leave your earthly goods unaccounted for. Make sure you leave this incarnation divine, sovereign, and free, not subject to the dictates of any other entity, any SHTRIGA. State your will and intention for all to hear and follow. Over combined 50 years of real-world spiritual experience, spans the spiritual spectrum, entity attachment, ETs, abductions, addictions, healings, readings, divination. We can help you be your own guru and unindoctrinate yourself. We work on a donation basis. It's an inside job, ladies and gentlemen. Contact us today. Subscribe if you want to be kept up to date. You can contact us here. Here's our websites. rawreflections.org will be out within days, just waiting for the transfer of that domain name. Of course, jeffreydaugherty.com. We offer services in relationship optimization, spiritual counseling, recovery counseling, meditation instruction, entity cleansing, UFOs, ETs, life track analysis, astral projection readings, and much, much more. Just ask. We can help. Unindoctrinate yourself. It's an inside job. Of course, I was going to say manna, but I mean Ormus is available through the jeffreydarty.com website. So if you know anything about children that have been abused, if you know anything about children that have been subject to torture, if you know anything about children that have been subject to pedophilia, to abuse, to neglect, many times they will waste away. The symptomology of a child under abuse or sexual abuse is the same as the symptomology of a child which was, quote unquote, visited by a SHTRIGA. Think about that. It's just like a child that is being visited by a SHTRIGA. So my question is, was the SHTRIGA mythos created? And let's look at this from a few different ways. Was it created as a way to try to explain the effects of secret, elite, deep state pedophiles and child abusers? Because let's face it, in medieval Europe, there was a lot of that going on. There's always been deep state. There's always been child abuse. There's always been ritualistic child sacrifice, child abuse, and ritualistic pedophilia. Is the Strigori or the SHTRIGA legend an attempt by people that either A, didn't know what was going on to explain symptomology that is exactly the same as symptomology experienced by those undergoing torture, pedophilia, sexual abuse? Did people just not know any better? And were they so pure in their minds that they couldn't even imagine that the kings and the queens and the dukes and the earls and the popes and the priests would actually be visiting such horrific activities upon the most innocent of our societies? Or was the SHTRIGA legend created to help explain away the things that peasants allowed lords and ladies to do to their little babies? If the king comes in and says, "Give me your kid or I'm going to kill you," and you give him your kid, it's a lot easier to blame it on a SHTRIGA than to blame it on a parent without conviction. Maybe that's too strong. Maybe it's not. You be the judge. Or was the SHTRIGA mythos created by the deep state pedophilia, child abuse elite to cover their tracks and their actions? Oh, it's not us. It's this monster, this SHTRIGA. Or is Hillary Clinton a SHTRIGA? I don't know. I wouldn't bet against any of those things. Child sacrifice, covering up for pedophilia, explanations for pedophilia, rationalizations for pedophilia. Or were the SHTRIGA real? And were they members of the elite, of the deep state? Because even here in the United States, administrations come and go, but the deep state people stay and remain the same. Of course, Trump is trying to do something about that, but even when the president wants to, it's not that easy to do, or even if the president wants to act like he wants to, but that's another story, and we don't talk politics on this show, but very, very rarely. So what if the SHTRIGA, what if the elite, what if the deep state are SHTRIGA? And that's how the legends came to be. And I think it's important to note that if you remember from the Wikipedia, it said that only a SHTRIGA can heal a child that's been abused. Think of that in terms of psychopathy and sociopathy and narcissism that Sandra's been talking about on her channel? Isn't it just like a psychopath, a sociopath, a narcissist to say, even though I put you in this position, I'm the only one that can help you? Classic psychopathy. Even though I put you in this position, I'm the only one that can help you. Classic sociopathy. Even though I put you in this position, you should thank me for all that I've done. I'm about to help you. Classic narcissism. They're monsters. They're blood suckers. They're energy vampires. Some of them are just two-legged human monsters, empty in their soul. Some of them might be beings from another place, another time, or another dimension that are here feeding upon the unknowing and the innocent. And who amongst us is the most trusting and unknowing and the most innocent and the most easy victims? It is our children. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that many times these legends evolve, and they evolve for different reasons. We're asking, was the SHTRIGA or the SHTRIGA mythos invented to explain pedophilia because no one knew what was actually happening? Was it invented to explain pedophilia to get for parents to salve their conscience when they know that they gave away their most precious gift and failed to perform their most basic duty? So it's easier to blame it on a monster than to look at the monster in the mirror. Or was it created, this mythos, by the abusers themselves to cover their tracks? Or are these beings real and are members of the elite and the deep state of this race of the SHTRIGA? I think in many cases the answer is yes. And I also believe this, and we have one of these beings, I believe, that watches this channel and has been in some communication with me. There are beings of this race that are sick and tired of what the race does, and they're sick and tired of the oppression, and they're sick and tired of the dark ways, and they want to help us overthrow this dark cabal that has encircled and enslaved this planet. The SHTRIGA. Who, what, where, why? Be ever vigilant, my friends. It is a vampire legend. I'm going to go through the chat room. Are we talking about Hillary? Damn with the timing, Jeff. Thank you. This sounds like a story told to satanic cult children to keep them in line. And we got to come spit in your mouth to make you better. That's so twisted, it doesn't even require commentary. That's why there's a universal magic that stops vampires from entering homes without having been invited. Granddaughter coming to Florida for the summer at 11. She's got it rough. What kind of world do we really live in? None of them are evil. What? Come on, man. That looks great, Jeff. Awesome. Thank you. I think someday you and Sandra should be buying in so people can go on retreats. That's a great, great idea, Catherine. There's vampires who are ugly as hell, but they can't enter homes without being invited. What's with the stream? It hangs up on some sentences. We have a society where a man loves a boy. That's horrible. Jeff, you want me to send you some relevant links? Yes. It's so true, Jeff. Narcissist. Child Protective Services is a major player. Red Cross is a major player. This is according to Tracy Dyer. That rings true to me. Psychologically abused. T.L. Clark is having trouble comprehending it. Anyone does. Saint-Germain, yes, indeed, Topper. I can send you some links. Lots of children blame something or someone else if they're abused by someone close to them. There's another reason, White Rabbit. Absolutely. Children would rather say it was a monster than Uncle John, Uncle Pete, Uncle Bill, Uncle Bob. Vampires wear badges. Others wear big black robes. Non-human, Bohemian Grove. And I'm telling you, even some of the SHTRIGA, the Strigari, the vampires are sick and tired of this horrific abuse. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is the New Cosmic Knowledge channel. We're here to help you ask questions and question answers. And it's not always comfortable when we unindoctrinate ourselves.